So 5.2, synthetic division. So synthetic division. So first, I want to walk through again long division with you from that last example we did. And I'm going to take x minus 3, and I'm going to divide that into x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x plus 5. Okay? And we're going to just run through long division, and I'm going to show you how easy synthetic is. It's going to be awesome. So, how many times will x go into x cubed? If I multiply x by x squared, I get x cubed, which is what I want. So that gives me x cubed and then minus 3x squared. So if I multiply through by x squared, I get x cubed minus 3x squared. Draw the line, change the sign. Okay, those cancel like I want. And I get 7x squared. Drop it down, minus 5x. What do I have to multiply x by to get 7x squared? Well, 7x times x minus 3 gets me that, I think. 7x squared, and then minus 21x. So that's 7x squared minus 21x. So what did I multiply? 7x. I'm going to put plus 7x here. And then I draw the line, change the sign. Okay. And I get a 21x and a minus 5x. That's going to be 16. Middle math there. Drop down to plus 5. Drop down to plus 5. Now I'm going to say, all right, what do I have to multiply x by to get 16x? And multiply by 16. And that gets me 16x minus 48. I'm going to put my 16 up here. Draw the line, change the sign. 5 and 48, what's that, 53? So my remainder is 53, okay? So remainder is 53, so we know right off the bat that x minus 3 is not a factor of this polynomial because it didn't give us a 0. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But if I have a remainder 53, how do I handle this part of the solution? I put a plus, and then it's positive 53, so I put 53 over, what did I divide by? X minus 3. And so that would be my answer right there. And that's great. Good way to do it. But there is a faster way, and it's known as synthetic division. It is awesome. So let's do synthetic division. Let me make this, through the power of technology, shrink. Okay, so synthetic division, how does this work? All right, first thing you got to do is take your divisor. Okay, take your divisor, and you are going to set the divisor equal to 0. Set it equal to 0. Solve for x, so x is equal to 3. And now you're going to take that 3 and put it in a box. Okay, here's your little box right here. And now I'm going to start writing off the coefficients. Coefficients of what, you might say, young man? All right, x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x plus 5. What are my coefficients here? Well, the first one, well, there's not a number in front. Well, it's understood to be a 1. So I'm going to put 1 here. And then that's the x cubed position. In the x squared position, I have a 4. In the x position, I have a negative 5. And then the constant, I have a 5. Now I'm going to draw the line here. Okay, no draw the line, change the sign here. But what we are going to do is this method. I'm going to take this 1, I'm going to drop it below the line. Everything below the line gets multiplied by what's in my box. So 1 times 3 gets me 3. So I put my 3 right here. And then what am I doing with the pieces that are above the line? I'm adding them together. So 4 plus 3 is 7. So I have a 7. Now remember, everything below the line is going to be multiplied by what's in the box. So 7 times 3, that's 21. So this gives me 21 here. And 21 times negative 5, that's going to be 16 when I add it together. The last case, 3 times 16, that's 48. And when I add 48 and 5 together, I get 53. Now, do these numbers look familiar somewhere? Yeah, I hope so. The 1 is the 1 in front of the x squared here, okay? The 7 is the 7 here in front of the x. The 16 is the constant here. The 53 is the remainder. So when you write this out, here's what I want you to do. I want you to always start with the last thing you wrote down. The last thing you wrote down was the remainder. So start with your remainder, and then you have your number, then you have your x, then you have your x squared, and your x cubed, and your x to the 4th, and it just goes on forever. Do I need to write all those others? No. Technically, all those others are just zeros, okay? So there's nothing there. This is the biggest one right here. Okay, so what is that? That's 1x squared plus 7x plus 16 plus, and how do we handle the remainder? 53 over what we divided by, x minus 3. See how quick that was? And we still got the same answer here, but with a whole lot less work. Boom. All right, let's try another one. 5x cubed plus 6x plus 8 divided by x plus 2. Okay, so let's use synthetic division here. So what do I do first? I take this piece, x plus 2, set it equal to 0, solve for x. So x plus 2 equal to 0 gets me x equals -2. So I take my -2 and I put it in my box. Now I start writing out the coefficients. What are my coefficients? Well, the first one is a 5. The second one, well, I see x cubed, okay, but then it jumps. It does something weird that it didn't do up here. You know, up here, I had one for x cubed, x squared, x to the 1, and my constant, right? Which is like an x to the 0. But down here, it looks like I skipped an x squared term. So this is the tricky part about synthetic division. When you skip a term, you must put a 0. Okay? So what did I skip? I actually have a 0x squared somewhere in there, right? Between x cubed and x. So I have a 0 here. So that's my x squared. This is my x cubed. This is my x squared. This is my x. This is my constant, right? So my x is 6x, and then my constant, that's 8. So now I've got it set up. Drop down the 5, what do I get? 5 times -2 is -10. Put the -10 right here. Add them together, 0 and -10. That's -10. Multiply what? I multiply -2 times what's below the line, -10. So what do I get? I get 20. And then 20 plus 6 is 26. And I multiply again. What's below the line? 2 and 26. What's that going to get me? That's going to get me, oh my gosh, 52 negative. Okay, negative and positive, make a negative. Add those together, I get -48, or 44 rather. Okay, always start with the last thing you wrote down. That's always the remainder. What's after the remainder? It's the constant. And then what's after the constant? That's the x, then the x squared. And then if you kept going, it'd be x cubed and so on and so on. But those are all zeros, so who cares about that, right? So what do I have? 5x squared minus 10x plus 26 minus 44 over, what did we divide by? I divided by x plus 2, so I put the x plus 2 here. Now y'all see how it's a minus here? It's a minus there because this is a -44, okay? So you have to be careful because sometimes in Hawks it'll have your answer split up where you put in the polynomial and then it says like plus and then it has a box here divided by a box here, right? So when you're going to do this, what you would do, you put the 5x squared minus 10x plus 26 in here, but then you put like a negative 44 up here and an x plus 2 down in here. When you're working through your test, you know, you just make sure to show all your work on scratch work in case you're worried, you know, that you're not typing it incorrectly, and I'm going to grade the scratch work when you send it in. Okay. All right. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll be done. We'll be finished. Done like a turkey, right? Okay. So 2x squared plus x minus 10 divided by x minus 2. All right, x minus 2. All right, how do I use synthetic? I take the divisor and set it equal to 0, solve for x is equal to 2, put 2 in the box, write out my coefficients. What are my coefficients? 2, 1, negative 10. We didn't have to skip any because I didn't have like an x cubed jumping over an x squared or anything like that. All my terms were there. Degree had a degree 2, degree 1, and a degree 0 term. So we didn't skip any degrees as we went through there. Drop down the 2, multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. Add 1 and 4, I get 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Oh, this is interesting. What happens here? I get 0. Remember, that last thing you did is the remainder, then your constant, then your x. So what is the answer here? The answer is what? 2x plus 5. So this is 2x plus 5. And there is no remainder. No remainder. Ooh, whoa, right? Okay, there is no remainder here. What does that tell me? That tells me that x minus 2 is actually a factor of this trinomial. What do I mean? If I multiply x minus 2 times 2x plus 5, I'm going to get 2x squared plus x minus 10. Very powerful. This is what's known as the remainder theorem. Okay, this is going to help us with the remainder theorem, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. All right, guys.